Welcome, social medium family. You are tuned into Did You Know with Tyra and Lauren. We are Education Rampage and we're shattering expectations about money. Now, we've been taught how to work for money, but what about learning how to make money work for us? Lauren and I will be hosting weekly talks geared to educate and empower those who tune in. We're going to be delving into the areas of faith, family, fitness, and fun as it relates to finance and life. Now, we all have different life experiences as well as educational backgrounds. However, it's about pulling in our tools and our resources to benefit others. We encourage those tuning in, don't hesitate to become a part of the conversation. This is a platform for growth. Now, many people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. Today's topic is recession. What is it? How do we prepare for it? And to get this conversation flowing, I'm going to tune it in to Lauren.
Hi, Tyra.
What's up, my love? How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for that amazing intro. And the topic is recession, recession, recession. That's something that we're hearing everywhere, right?
Yes, especially right now.
Yes,
It's all
and
over
kind
the
of
news.
all over the news. And well, we know about the news, right? They're not really there to inform and help us. They're like trying to scare us and not really guide us in the right direction. I don't know. Maybe your news does that, but I think they have another. Sometimes I think they have another intention.
I get
When it,
confused. I don't know what news to listen to. I'm just like, well, CNN said this, ABC said this, CBS. I'm like, I can't keep any of it together.
Right. And I think that's the challenge. We hear this recession, and because there's so many different points of view, and everyone's saying certain things, and yes, we're in a recession. No, this needs to happen for it to be a recession, or we're not going to be in a recession. But at the end of the day, I think you would agree with me, Tyra, is like we just want to know what's happening and have a little bit of an understanding so we know how to protect ourselves and kind of move forward, not in this fearful way, but at least in a more
Exactly.
informed, in a more informed way, and kind of see what do we need to do, what do we need to know about when it comes to the recession. What do you think, Tyra?
I'm in total agreement with you. I think that's half the battle. I think a lot of fear happens when you don't know. So that's kind of one of our goals is that we want to talk about these things that finance is a scary topic to talk about. One, especially if you don't have it. Two, if you're going to run out of it. So our thing is like let's have these conversations. Finance is not going anywhere. It's better. Why not be better prepared and plan so that way you can just live life in peace because you know that you know what and you don't know that you don't know until you know. That was kind of
That,
cool. I like that.
I like that. Yes, you're right. Right. Once you know, you try to do better. Right. That's all you can do. No matter what age or when you learn. Sometimes I've been out. I'm like, oh, if I only known sooner. But then I don't do anything. That's not the point. It's like once you know, okay, you know what? Now, how do I move forward? What do I need to do to kind of
Exactly.
get a leg up now that I have the information, and not kind of, not to feel bad or angry. I mean, we can go down that route and that's fine, but you got to get yourself out of it. At the end of the day, no
Exactly.
one's going to come to save us, right? Like, no one's going to do that, and we have to figure that out. So right now, the recession, I think what we should really kind of focus on is kind of what's really happening in the world that we know that's probably adding to the recession, or if it's going to happen, whatever that is. So I think one of the big other things is inflation, right? Like that's the next word that we're hearing: inflation, inflation,
Woo!
and we're seeing it. We're seeing that we're paying so much more for less, right? And so what do we do when it comes to inflation? I mean, at the end of the day, we have to look at our income, right? Okay, well, what are we earning,
Mhm.
and how are we really maximizing the income that we're making? And if we're not making enough, then what are we doing to figure that out? And I know that's kind of hard with jobs and unemployment, and depending on your company, I mean, there's really no security in most companies if you work for me. I mean, I'll share. I mean, I was a teacher for 19 years, and the last time in 2008 when we had, the market crash, it affected schools, in 2009, 2010, 2011,
Oh,
and
that was the housing recession, right?
the housing
2008.
recession. So, we were impacted a couple years after, and I got pink slipped. I was a tenured teacher, pink slipped, almost a decade as a teacher. And what was crazy is that my principal handed me my pink slip while I was 8.5 months pregnant, about to give birth.
Oh,
And
wow.
like, at that point, I thought I had done everything right to be in a position to not be in that position ever. And so, you never really know. And I know a lot of people have that fear, like what's going to happen with my job, and something to really look at. It's something to really look at and kind of see, well, don't let that be a fear that holds you back. At that point, I made a decision. I never want to be in a position where I don't have another backup plan. What
Right.
happens if my job, we might want to stay at our job. Doesn't mean our job wants to keep us there, right?
Well, and
So
that's crazy, Laura, that you say that. 2008, that happened to you. And now here we're in 2020, 2022.
too.
It happened all over again. So you're
And
right. Our job is not safe. Wow.
it's not secure. And it's
Wow.
amazing. And that at that time it was a big eye opener. And that's when I decided, I'm gonna look to other things to have as a backup plan, because I never want to be in that position again in the future. And what's amazing and is that I did find, the opportunity to be part of a financial company that really gave me an opportunity this time around, where I did go back into teaching, and then I just was about to get displaced entire this school year. Again,
Wow.
we're talking about almost 18 years of teaching, and I was going to be displaced. Like, it's crazy. But you know what? Now I'm full time in my company, and like, I mean, I was able to do that. But some of you might be in that position where you're like, I need to think of other options, or maybe you're like, now I need another option. And so, don't let that be the fuel for you to really look at different opportunities and have an open mind when it comes to that, because this is definitely an eye opener to really see. And we're seeing that we're calling it the big renaissance, right, Tara?
Yeah.
Like this is giving you an opportunity to really, unfortunately, COVID happened, but I think it's giving a lot of people a different perspective when it comes to that. So use that to fuel you. So, inflation, job security is something that we're seeing. The market, what is it doing, Tyra?
You know what? I was actually reading that they have to increase they have to increase the interest rates in order to keep us from going into recession. So yeah, so your milk that used to cost $2 is now going to cost 5. And unfortunately, people are going to pay it because people need gas to drive, people need food to eat. So we're going to pay these. But inflation right now is at a 9.0. I think the last time I read is like a 9.01%. But the interests have to go up so that we don't go into inflation, because we need to be able to have that purchasing power in order to keep us from going into another recession where the stock markets are just going to dip so low that we're actually going to be in a true recession, which is
Right.
really scary. But, again, it's not like this is the first or the last time. There was a recession, what, in 1990? They called it the jobless recovery. There was a jump in oil prices after Iraq. And so there was an attempt by the federal government to lower the inflation, which unfortunately ended up causing, a lot of job loss. And then we were in that recession. Then in 2001, there was the tech bubble recession. Investors were pumping all this money into internet, based startup companies in the hopes that the companies would turn a profit. Unfortunately, they didn't. Massive stock loss. Then 2008, the housing bubble. Points dropped in the Dow. Stocks crashed again. 2020, COVID hits. So it's almost like there's nothing that us as consumers can really do to say, hey, look, I want to prevent this or keep this. It's more about what can I do to make sure that myself as an individual and my money is protected, so that if something does happen, it doesn't send us into a tailspin. We know, like, okay, I know where everything is. I know that it's almost like, what's that saying? Pivot. Don't react. What is it called? Like, you don't want to react to something. You want to be
Want to
reactive, but not react um,
respond.
to it, or no, respond. Yeah. You want to be able to respond and not react to it. But again, I think, again, that starts with education. The more educated you are on what happened in the past, kind of what's happening now, prepare for the future. So if anything does, I mean, again, we can't control wars, we can't control weather, um, which again affects the stock market, but we can control ourselves and kind of like our understanding and our education. Um,
No, definitely. I completely agree. And it comes down to financial education. And this is why we're education rampage, right? Because it's not like there's this like this tension and like, how do we not know the tools to really not let this affect us in a really negative way? And because of the education you and I have learned, Tyra, in the past and have put things into place. And again, our experience of for me as well, like and having an open mind for a different opportunity. Opportunities are knocking all the time. It's just sometimes we're so close-minded
mhm.
because we have this fear that during these times if you look into history, you have some people just having some of the most successful businesses or yeah, all these things that actually emerge because of what's happening. And so we're seeing that there's
Yep.
this emergence because of technology. This technology is a Zoom technology has definitely taken businesses and companies and industries
Oh
to a
yes,
whole other level. The
yes.
question is that something you want to be a part of? Or do you want to still be stuck at that job? Or maybe you're happy at your job, which is awesome, but that's not the case for everybody. So,
Mhm.
you want to make sure that, especially in a recession, um, whether if we go into one or maybe we're already in one, Tyra, who knows? Nobody seems to really
They
have.
don't know. I was just watching the news, and they're like, we don't know if we're in a recession. We might be in one. We might be heading to one, but we don't know. So I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, hey, there it is there. But hey, at least I will say that there's an emotional concern that I think a lot of people are not prepared for when it comes to money. And I think that the education really can lower a lot of that emotional concern, because you're either going to be concerned and depressed because you're wondering if your money is protected, or you're going to be confident in knowing that I'm good. And I think it's safe to say, Lauren, that you now, in the position that you're in, being with this finance company, like you feel so much more confident. And I can say the same for myself. Now, prior to being a part of this company, or being a part of the financial industry, I was very ignorant. I had no clue. And I didn't have a fear because I had no clue. It wasn't until it was brought to my attention of kind of what my financial picture was looking like, that there was a lot of fear in that moment. And so I did. I was so hungry to learn and learn more and fix my financial picture, that now I can say, as of what's the date today, August 2nd, 2022, I feel very comfortable, very confident, moving forward in the future with my finances. And just because I've learned a lot, there's always still so much to learn, so I'm like a sponge. I'm always soaking it up, the more I learn, the more excited and fast. I mean, finance is fascinating, people. When you look, when you have a respect for it, when you learn to respect it, money is very fascinating. It's like math.
Well, it's a money game, and money. Everyone has a different um, perspective or attachment to money, whatever that is. But at the end of the day, I mean, they say money isn't everything, but it's pretty much up there with oxygen. I mean, you got to be real. Like, no matter what you're trying to accomplish, there's usually, for the
Mhm.
most part, a financial price tag to it. So if you really want to accomplish those different goals or things you want to experience with your family, like you really want to have your finances in order, and it's really kind of working towards how do you make that happen for a lot of us, our community, as women, number one, and as women of color, and we don't get this information. Like no one's like knocking on our door to teach us all
Exactly.
this all this
Yep.
all this info, right? So but yes, we're in a position where we've learned and we've applied what we learned. And so yeah, a recession, if it's happening, not happening, I agree. I'm pretty confident in knowing what my money's gonna do. I'm
Mhm.
not saying it's not gonna like not lose nothing. I mean,
Right.
there's depending on where your money's at, but I understand very well what my money's doing.
Exactly.
I'm not turning a blind eye like, oh my God, hoping. I definitely know what's happening. It comes with education. This is why Tyra and I are so passionate about what we're doing. And you have a resource here. But again, everyone's different. So we can't just talk about one thing because everyone's financial situation is different. and specific to what you're going through, and and what you're trying to accomplish. But we just really wanted to bring this attention of recession. Like, there's definitely fear and concern, but at the end of the day, if you really reach out to, you can reach out to us or someone, that, there's books and stuff, but people that have been in it and have a good resource to guide you through. It's definitely something you have to be open to, because I mean, how many people around you, if you look at the people that you surround yourself with, how many of them are confident in where they're at financially? And if you're like, no, nobody, then you have to be that one person to reach out, right? So that way you can change that for you and your family. And then if you're learning it, how amazing it is if you have kids to teach your kids. If not, nieces and nephews, godchildren, like whatever. Like, imagine you're that one person to be able to do that. So
There is something I want to piggyback on what you said. You said, knowledge. And I feel like, and you've said this before just in conversation between you and I, knowledge is empowered unless it's applied. So the thing is, you can go out there and get the knowledge, but if you're just going to get it and read books and watch, TV and be like, oh, that's great, but not actually do anything to apply it, it's not going to do you any good. So half the battle is getting that information, but the next half of the battle is actually applying it to your life. So I think that's really key.
No, it's so true, Tyra. Well, I think this gives us a good start for people to ponder and think about, and again, ask questions. Ask your questions below. We will definitely check them and get back to you, or private message us, whatever, wherever you're seeing us. Again, we are here to be a resource, and just kind of bring attention to what's really happening, but also to empower. Like, yes, this is like a lot of information that you can definitely have control for you and your future. So, Tyra, anything else you want to share with our amazing audience?
No, I mean, look, you guys get used to these two faces. We're going to be in your face because the thing is, we're going to be a resource. We want to be that resource out in the community, whether it's for you, whether it's for a family member. People need this information. I mean, let's go ahead and bridge that gap of the rich and the poor. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of it is just a matter of education. But we want to be that resource for you. Maybe you could be a resource here. You can, like I said, chime into this conversation. Let's have the conversation. It needs to be had. There's more. There's enough food at the table for us all to eat.
There's definitely plenty of room at the table for sure. And I thank you for, if you want to be a part of this conversation, let's have that conversation.
Yeah.
I think it's important to do that, especially at this time, for so many of us. Yeah. All right, Tyra. Well, I think this was a great little information that we brought to our audience. And then we'll be coming, like Tyra had said in our intro, there's more to come. Much more to come that we're going to be bringing to you. But yes, with all honesty, we'll definitely be doing that. And again, if there's other things you want us to kind of cover, hey, share that with us as well, because we're lifelong learners, and we're definitely passionate about our industry. So again, we're here to help and be of service. All right, Tyra, you want to close us out?
I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. Again, we will be doing these on a weekly basis. And please be a part of the conversation. We need to get this education out there. And this education is free. There's no charge. But again, it's only knowledge. It's not knowledge unless it's applied. We don't want you just to hear it. We want you to do something about it. Share some tips. Share some things that are working in your life. That can help other people, because again, each story, like my story could affect somebody that Lauren's story can't, and vice versa. And so we want to be able to be out there to be this resource. So please jump on in, be a part of the party, be a part of the family. Me and her, we're fun. We love life. We love educating. Jump on in. We'll see you next time.
All right. Well, have a great one, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.